the U.S. proposed a tax for unrealized gains. That's something the billionaires are really pissed off about, because a lot of times, we've talked about this, people who have multi-billion wealth, it's because it's all in stock for companies they created, and so they don't think it's fair necessarily to tax them for that, because it's not like they have the cash laying around. Philosophically, I would be on that side, except then instead of selling their stock when they want to buy stuff, they just take loans out against their stock and thus never pay taxes on any of their wealth, which is kind of bullshit. So it's just an interesting battle that's going on in the news. I don't know if you had a thought on it, but I think it's unfortunate because the not taxing wealth until it's realized makes total sense, except for the fact that everyone who has a ton of wealth games the system because of that rule. And so then you end up in this weird place where in order to effectively tax those people, what you're going to do is hurt all the people in the middle who are investing but not enough to actually go take a loan out on it. And so they have unrealized gains.
But would we be taxed?
Yes.
I mean, yeah. How would you value our business?
Oh, no. You just get taxed for anything that you own. Like if you had...
I owned Charisma on Command.
You also own cryptocurrency and the S&P 500 and anything else like that.
Well, no, the one that I'm going is, how would you tax me on Charisma on Command? I don't have the money.
Well, that's actually an interesting question.
I could sell, unrealized gains, crypto. I could liquidate that. I could sell it, and the gains you could tax it. I can't just sell Charisma on Command.
Yeah.
And Jeff Bezos, by the way, can't sell whatever you say he's worth. If you were to try to liquidate his 11% at that value, he can't get it. That's not what it's worth when he tries to sell it at that value.
Well, the other thing is if you do want these people to own enough of a stake in the business to still have a say in what happens in the business. But yeah, I think somehow we need to improve wealth inequality. I still don't understand why we aren't just doing a wealth
It's
tax.
not taxing unrealized gains. It's definitely not that. As a mechanism, it's too fraught with problems. The answer is NFTs. I don't know how, but
I think it's a wealth tax. Warren Buffett said it. I've been sold on the idea. Just tax everyone 1% of their...
Isn't that some kind of a tax on unrealized gains, though? Is a wealth tax? How do you determine my wealth? I own Charisma on Command. What is Charisma on Command worth? What is
but
my
you'd
net
actually
wealth?
be surprised. I think it literally is 1% is all you need to do a year.
You still have to calculate what Charisma on Command is worth. What is Charisma on Command worth?
Yeah, I don't know how they would do it for private business owners.
Dude, the value of Charisma on Command, in my mind, is so volatile. I am constantly of the mindset that it could end tomorrow. And I mean that. Not necessarily tomorrow, but within months, it could be over. Or it could continue. We've also grown 25% a year for several years, and that could continue out. So how do I even begin to value something like that? Also, I can't sell stocks in this. We don't have replaceable cogs. What's the value of Charisma on Command if you die or I die? And then do I get that money back when honestly, I paid on unrealized gains?
Probably not. It probably doesn't take too big a hit unless we both die.
It takes a hit, man.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Oh no, because you giving, where does your ownership or my ownership even go if that happens?
To the other one.
Oh, so that would be great. No,
that's what I'm saying. It definitely wouldn't fall in half. You become a wealthier man if I want to say this on the record in case I go mysteriously disappear. Charlie is a wealthier man if I die, because the business wouldn't fall by 50%.
Got it. Not immediately.
Yeah, you'd have to pick up the slack a little bit. But.
Yes. I'd have to compensate for your absence. This level of wealth inequality creates social problems which you'd like to avoid. But I also think they're not giving the devil his due, which is there is a portion of this wealth inequality which comes from contribution inequality. And that's not to say that this isn't to poo-poo social supports or better childhood education, but they have that graph of CEO pay or pay of the rich people and average worker wage, and they were tracking with one another until the 80s and they split off. Part of that is, I'm sure, crappy incentive structures that could be changed and fixed. Part of that is the advent of software, which allows one effective coder to contribute at a level 100,000 times more than a regular person and 10,000 times more than a normal coder. And then that cascades down to people like me and you who can't write code, but now just are not speaking on a stage, but can speak to either 10 people, 100 people, millions of people, depending on how far that message goes. So I don't know. I'm just not on the billionaire anger train as much, because while agreeing with the sentiment that income inequality has negative effects, which we would collectively want to curb and redistribute to some of the people that are on the bottom. But yeah, there's just, I don't know, the billionaires as the problem seems too easy, too populist angry for me to get behind. And I'm sure you probably agree.
Yeah, my biggest thing is I'm just shocked that it's so hard to write a tax code that does what we want, which is to tax people who are insanely wealthy to some degree and solve the wealth inequality thing. I'm just genuinely surprised that there's, like, for every rule they propose, there's just so many easy loopholes. I wonder if that's just inevitable, because when you have enough resources, like if the government's if the government's gonna take $2 billion from you, it's worth spending $1 billion to figure out how to get out of it. So I don't know what the solution is. That's why, like I said, the Warren Buffett one just seems so simple. I'm sure the devil's in the details. But
Elon threw up an interesting tweet, which again, I don't know his morality, but I think a lot of people feel this way. There was some sort of proposition that if they had $6 billion, they could end. I don't know if it was homelessness.
Oh, I was going
to
bring this up. Yeah, CNN is such a silly goose. They wrote 2% of Elon Musk's wealth could solve world hunger, says director of UN Food Scarcity Organization. I think Elon just wrote back, okay, if the WFP can describe on this Twitter thread exactly how the $6 billion will solve world hunger, I will sell Tesla stock right now and do it. Yeah. But it has to be open source accounting so the public sees precisely how the money is spent. And then obviously they didn't get back to him, which is weird, because I think he really would have given them $6 billion if they could solve world hunger with it.
I don't know the guy, but it's 2% of his wealth to knock out world hunger once and forever. And what do they mean? Give everybody a cheeseburger today? Nobody's hungry today. Like it's yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is I broadly am frustrated when the problem is just pushed to billionaires. We've talked about how people are very unwilling to look left on the bell curve. It's very easy to say that the people who need to step in and make things more equal are the rich people. I had this sentiment when I was watching the Jon Stewart thing last night is, it's not fair that I have to pay for healthcare in a country where people have so much wealth. It's not fair that I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the heat on. It's not fair if I'm not sure. And there's just very much, understandably, because this is a human trait, like, what about me? What about me? What about me? But there's not like, hey, I have heat and people in Bangladesh don't, so I'm going to take a portion of my $20 an hour and send it over there. I think if people took the principles by which they argue for the reduction of income inequality in America and broadened that to the human race, and then said, okay, we are all going to send massive portions, and this goes through the middle class, through the lower middle class, into people who are in the poverty level in the United States, because in order to limit inequality amongst humans, we're going to have to talk to those people who like literally don't have sanitation or clean water and are dying of river parasites. I think that you would see those principles evaporate, which is...
Or you end up with people draw the line around the U.S. They say we should solve this problem within the U.S. and don't worry about people who aren't in the U.S.
To which I now know to say, okay, why don't we draw that line around our neighborhood? You know what I mean? So why doesn't each billionaire say, I'm going to solve income inequality in my little county? Or like, why is the U.S. the appropriate measure? And the only answer that I think people come back with is... because that's the one that gets the money to the people who I want it to go to, but prevents the people that I want it to go to from having to send it to people even poorer than them. So, yeah, when I listen to these, I get it, I understand it, and I like charity water because they give it to the people that don't have access to water, and I understand. Like, yes, we want the government to tax people more, but I understand the dislike of how the U.S. government spends the money that they get. Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.